everyone. This is Nick.
And this is Tim.
This is sidetrack number 7. We don't have sidetracks very often anymore, actually.
Nope. It's just kind of a every now and then sort of thing.
You know, if we have something very special that's not in our normal wheelhouse for either weekly hijack or Derailed Trains of Thought, we make a sidetrack.
And this is number 7, where we'll talk about episode 7 of Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars. I thought it was going to be like, some other show.
No, we haven't gotten to Battle of 5, and that would be the weekly hijack.
That would be, yes. About. Okay, so episode 7 of which is, if you haven't heard, there's a new Star Wars movie out.
Really?
Yes.
What's it called?
The Force Awakens.
Uh-huh.
Also episode 7.
Uh-huh.
Also,
Tell me more.
Squee. All right. That's what some people are calling it. So,
do you want to do like a spoiler-free version?
No, I think we just need to have a giant spoiler warning here.
Okay, yeah, this thing's going to be filled with spoilers. Yeah. We're not even going to try to do a separate section other than, you should go see this movie.
Yeah, if you have not, don't listen to this yet, seriously. Because for two reasons. First off, you don't want spoilers. Second off, go make your own opinion before hearing ours.
Yes,
so
very true. Okay, well, where do we even begin with this, Nick?
I'll just start with this. I love the new characters.
The new characters are great. Possibly my favorite thing about this movie, honestly.
Yes, I think I was very happy. For me, I understood they had to do the whole legacy thing, get the old people in, and it worked really well. But I really wanted to see Will stand on the new characters.
Yeah.
And I love Rey. She's like the opposite Rey Ayanami.
I hadn't even put that together. It's spelled differently.
It is spelled differently.
Yeah.
Finn's great. Kylo Ren is very intriguing.
Poe, I heard someone.
Poe is awesome. I love Poe.
They described him as the most interesting man in the galaxy.
Poe Dameron's genius. And and it's fabulous. That's the first person you see, really.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. The first person a pilot, like a real focus on a guy who's just a pilot.
Yeah, because we've had pilots who were also other things, but he's.
Yeah, it's like we finally got a Wedge Antilles type character.
Yes.
I mean, Wedge was always much more low key than this guy seems to be, but still, it was really cool to have to meet up with him first.
And they established. I mean, really, in the first 10 minutes, you've introduced all the main new guys. Really,
yeah.
I mean, that first scene has Poe and Kylo Ren and
BB-8
and then you get Finn right then, and then you get Rey right after that whole.
Yeah,
intro scene.
Yeah, they spent the beginning is very nice. They spend a good amount of time introducing characters
and interweaves very well. I mean, the beginning is very strong.
Yes,
and just start by the beginning. So you have the scrolling thing, and man, they get a lot of stuff done in that thing.
I tell you,
if we had known that beforehand, a lot of questions would have been answered.
I was sitting next to my baby sister, and we were. She was like uber excited because this is her first Star Wars movie to see in a theater. And so, we were both kind of fangirling out at the very beginning. But I love that the very first text in it is, Luke Skywalker has vanished. After months of everyone asking about this, I think that was a masterful stroke to have everyone asking about the very thing you're going to start the movie with.
Yeah, it was great because you're like, oh, so this isn't just something, that's the plot.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant.
And, that worked really well as a plot, actually. I mean, that,
Luke Skywalker is the MacGuffin, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite in MacGuffin in the sense of you don't really know what it is. You know who Luke is, but,
since we're talking new characters, should we just do we want to say something special about each of them?
I guess we could do that. I don't know that I have too much. I mean, they're all cool.
Yeah. A question, do you think there's any explanation for why Finn changed, or he just is the anomaly in the system?
I think he might just be the anomaly. I mean, I think from like a hero's perspective, he's very someone to look up to because he's the one who threw off his programming. I don't know that there's any deeper scientific reason beyond that, and that's not one particular thing. There's some things I would like to have more explanations for in this movie, but that's not one of them.
When you first said, I thought, well, maybe there will be. Then later on, I'm like, I think that's just it just happened.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rey. She's very intense, which I enjoy.
She is,
and I like the just they keep he's a stormtrooper trying to save her, and it's not.
She's like
I can take care of myself.
Yeah,
stop holding my hand.
And thankfully, not an annoying way.
No,
and because sometimes those strong female characters, they can get a little too bossy. But I never felt that way with her.
And I had to say, just her, the running, and we'll get through this. I think the running theme of. Force Skywalker, well, I don't know Skywalker, who knows, but
we'll get to that.
Strong Force people who are also very good mechanically. You know,
Okay, yeah.
Because
a good
that
point.
was the thing. I mean, again, expanding universes matter, but that was a thing in the expanding universe.
Anakin and Luke both did a lot of stuff with parts
and then
and piloting and
then expanding universe, they had kids who could do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Which again,
which I don't really know a whole lot about Jaina and Jason.
But but they could, yeah.
Okay.
Or one of them could. I can't remember which. It doesn't matter, but I think there are ideas from those books that they may use. I don't think you should expect them to, but there are certainly the fact that Luke, had a temple, or he's trying to find a Jedi temple, and that he trained kids. Yeah, that gone wrong. I mean, that's very.
I was glad to hear that he had at least started, something like a Jedi Academy.
Her flying the Millennium Falcon was great, and she's fine.
BB-8. Do we have anything to say about him other than he's fantastic?
I mean, I don't know how. I was telling Zach, he's basically R2-D2 designed by Apple, which is great because he has all the charm of R2-D2 while being basically next gen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was a person that the minute we all saw him, he's like, "Oh, that's pretty cool," and then we found out he was real, and we're all like, "What?
Yeah,
that's even cooler." The fact that he's not a CG, because at first you're like, how can it even be physically possible? Yeah. It is possible.
It's pretty cool.
Whoa.
Should we start just opening the Kylo Ren can of worms here then?
Well, we're just talking about surface level characters, so we won't go into family histories yet. We'll say that for later. But as a bad guy, he's an interesting bad guy.
He's interesting. I mean, what really, kind of to me encapsulates him is that, you have the whole scene where you think he's going to force choke the guy who's bringing bad news, and then he basically throws a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, this is the character.
And it's interesting too, like if you look at his lightsaber, how it like sputters. And,
it's like
very uneven, as opposed to like all the other lightsabers, which are very cool and kind of straight.
Yeah, he's barely contained.
Yeah, there's a lot of raw energy emanating from him. He's an unpolished gem or something. Yeah. I guess
Vader
gem.
Was always when you introduced Vader, he was always very calm and collected, and
he could still he'd kill minions with a flip of his hand because he was obviously could get mad, but it was a very cool anger.
Yeah, and this guy's much more warm.
Yeah,
not warm-hearted, but
heated, I guess.
Yes, but, and then Poe is just fun.
Yeah. I guess we skipped over him.
Should we throw Maz in there? Maz? How do you say?
I liked Maz a lot. Maz? I can never get her name right. Maz. Thank you, Zach, from the other room.
He will eventually probably sneak in here.
No, I thought she was a really fun character, and I liked Maz. She was fun. She was wise without being, as my sister Rachel said, she was wise without being annoying. Like sometimes wise characters come across as know-it-alls. She seemed very personable, very
down to earth-ish.
Yeah, and cool character design. I like the eyeglass things that like seem to
remind me a little bit of is it Edna from The Incredibles? Just the glasses just remind me.
Someone asked me if she was the there's a boss character in NCIS Los Angeles that it's also another one of these very short older ladies that
that's hilarious.
But
I guess that's most. And then there's Hux, which you don't see a lot of. Is that his name?
The First Order General,
which I wish we would have seen more of. Actually, he was like
it was interesting. I love that they kept like the very Nazi Aryan type Imperial officers.
His speech was great,
but like that was the first one we'd seen that it was like spittle and.
That's the thing. Like the First Order just seems more vitriol. I mean, it's more like the Empire was very.
Well, the Empire had like 20 years to like be like we're cool, we're in charge, and First Order is like angry.
Yeah,
angry. How dare you do this to?
Well, we're talking about new characters. Should we throw Snoke? Is that okay? Weird name. I don't know. I'm not sold that name honestly.
It's like a mix between Snake and what? I keep thinking it sounds like a Harry Potter name.
It does, like
Snape.
Snape. Yeah.
Snape. Snoke.
Snape. Yeah. It's like, oh no, is it real or not? We'll go check Snoke. Oh, Snopes. Okay, at first...
Hopefully they're not just blowing smoke.
At first, he's this giant... I'm like, I hope that's not really a giant.
I would have been okay with a giant.
I was uncertain with the humanoid giant. I'm like, and then it wasn't. I'm like, it made me feel better. I wasn't quite sold on that.
I do have to say, they've apparently greatly improved hologram technology in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see a whole lot of difference in Star Wars technology from era
The droids
to era.
out, yeah.
The droids a little bit, but you go all the way back to Knights of the Old Republic
That's
era,
true.
and technology looks very similar. So the fact that they upgraded their hologram technology, which looked pretty much the same for all the previous Star Wars movies, it's like, it's an interesting choice.
So he was. I don't know what to say about him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was. I don't know. I liked his design.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting that he looked very old. So he probably would have been around for some of the Empire era, I would assume.
Yeah, and he obviously.
I thought he had a presence.
And he wasn't. What was interesting? He wasn't particularly worried about Kylo Ren going off the. I mean, it's like he was like, we'll just see what happens here, which was odd.
Yeah, he was way more worried about Luke coming back than about losing his only apprentice.
Yeah,
probably because you can groom evil apprentices from anywhere.
All right, so those are the main characters.
So, well, let's talk about the return of the old characters. Again, we're just touching on characters.
Yeah, we'll talk thematic stuff in a bit.
Yeah, so Han, it was so much fun to see Han in this. Harrison Ford felt like, I think he kind of returned to the role pretty well.
Yeah.
There was even like one moment, I think, when he was yelling at Chewie, like, his voice didn't sound any different.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can tell he sounded older, but like there was another scenes like it almost could have come from the original movie, just the way his voice sounded.
And just curmudgeon-y old Han Solo is. It works really well.
Well, and I love that they do with Chewie. There were some great Chewbacca moments in here too. Honestly, like when Han's like, "Did I?" and he's like, "Yeah, I did."
I'll tell you, best intro of an old character.
Yeah.
Not him. Not him. Here's my favorite intro of an old character is Han sees Leia, and then C-3PO sticks his head in, and I'm like, that is awesome.
that was great.
He has perfect C-3PO. Because really, there is no other character like C-3PO in the Star Wars universe in any of the other movies.
No.
I mean, he's a very distinctive type of humor,
and most people probably wouldn't want much more of that. And they use C-3PO, I think, probably just the right amount for this.
Yeah, for especially the type of movie this was.
Yes, yeah. Speaking of Leia, how'd you feel about her?
Pretty good. I mean,
when they first introduced her, I thought they were holding her back because you didn't say a whole lot. And if you've seen Carrie Fisher in interviews, she knows she's kind of a crazy old lady. I've seen her in person, and I can tell. I think I talked about that before. She's kind of a crazy old lady. But I thought she did really well. Danielle, again, my sister said she couldn't really hear her voice, which was kind of hard. Her voice has gotten kind of gravelly, but you can still see Leia in her eyes.
Yeah, I think she worked fine. I mean, no complaints about it, but no, like, oh, that was genius. But yeah. Zach is slowly moving over here.
I'm trying to think other old characters. Well, I guess the only other one would be Luke.
Okay. I had to say,
Admiral Akbar. Oh, Admiral Akbar was fantastic. Even though he didn't say anything.
And when he nubs there, I think it's still him.
I wondered if that was him.
Well, it might not. It could just be another Celestan.
Lando's. I don't know. I figured I knew who you were talking about. Lando's co-pilot.
Yep. Okay. I assume. I mean, why couldn't it be him? Why not?
I have no idea about the age.
And there was that trash droid. I saw a trash droid.
I saw the little like shoebox droid.
Yeah, the mouse droid.
Droid. Yeah. So I think that covers character stuff.
Yes. Okay. What are you gonna do next? What next? Do you want to do thematic things, family relational?
Let's talk about the plot.
Okay.
And I guess I could cover a lot of territory, but a lot of people pointed out that this is structurally very similar to A New Hope.
It is.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It is probably the necessary thing.
Necessary thing?
Meaning, I was telling Zach, I have one major complaint about the movie, and we'll get to that later. But generally, I really, really enjoyed it.
Yes. If you couldn't tell, we did overall enjoy it.
But I think the problem is it lives in this pop cultural bubble where to make it work well, you almost have to recapture the original trilogy in some way. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what people wanted. No one would say it quite that directly. Mm-hmm. And to me, I didn't mind too much because even with the prequels, there was always this theme variation thing going on.
Yeah.
there's always like this showed up in a different context, and I think what they did really well in this movie is it could have been almost a reboot. I mean, and in many ways it is kind of structured like a reboot, but all the homages are really, I think, structured in ways that still feel fresh for the most part, and not like they're just copying.
Yeah,
and so it worked for me generally because there was so much new life that it didn't feel like it was just copying. Now you got the droid get with the thing, and you have the blowing up, whatever.
Yeah,
but,
like those two are the main touchstones of similarities. You got the droid that everyone's hunting for, then the attack on a Death Star type.
And you start on a desert planet.
And starting on a desert planet. I mean, there's
a lot of little ones.
Yeah, and there's a lot of variation after that in terms of like where they go after that. They don't go immediately to rescue someone.
And honestly, I really feel like, while it's structured a lot off New Hope, I really feel like it encapsulated lots of other parts of the trilogy or original trilogy. I mean, you have basically Ren's story or dream sequence is very Empire Strikes Back. When Luke has his dream, they both go and do this thing and see the people come. I mean, that's very, that scene of Luke on Dagobah. There's some very, I mean, obviously we'll wait to get that part, but there's, some very interesting echoes at the end. So
I feel the parts of them reflecting A New Hope that probably hurts it the most is honestly the X-Wing battle at the end.
Yeah, this is my main complaint.
Because I didn't feel like, in part because there was so much more interesting things going on with the main characters.
I'm with you.
And there wasn't nearly as much focus on how to actually blow this thing up. It was just kind of a means to an end. And there was not nearly the suspense that the first Death Star...
Those are almost my exact thoughts.
Yeah.
But it bothered you more than... Because I thought the same thing. It bothered you more than...
And I figured out... It took me a couple days to figure out why this bothered me so much. And I think it's this. Like Tim was saying, okay, you got a Star Killer, Death Star Point 3.
Base.
And honestly, the Star Killer ideas I like. And I don't really mind having a bigger and better Death Star because the Empire seems to be into that.
Sure.
And it's not like the writers of the expanded universe didn't also try the same. It's like it's something people do.
They tried that a
bazillion times, which may be another reason I'm kind of like whatever. But it was a very interesting concept. I love the fact that there was they could go out on the planet and stuff.
That was a whole planet. That was cool. Yeah.
And so I can deal with that. I think what bothered me most is they make the plan, and it's like the planning sessions from both the other. It's like, but they don't even they just play it straight, which to me is just weird after you've blown up 2 Death Stars for one. And then there's no tent.
Well, they had Han's line. It's like, it's just bigger. Well, they can still blow it up.
They did. But I think you're right. It's the lack of tension. It's the fact that in both New Hope and Return of the Jedi, even though they're both Death Stars, the entire, especially in Return of the Jedi, the entire last half of the movie is about this ragband team almost getting decimated while trying to blow this thing up. That there's a lot of stakes there. But in The Force Awakens, it's a very personal, it's really about Kylo Ren, Han Solo, and Rey. And so it's almost just a distraction. Well, and so it's like, here's a blow up Death Star scene, which is always my favorite scenes from the original trilogy. This rebels win and beat the big thing. It's a big, except you don't even care because there's other stuff happening.
I know, but I liked that because if you did that again and you cared,
that's the thing. It's good that they didn't focus on the X-Wing battle because it's too much of the same thing, but. Then why do you have it? See, it's this catch-22, and to me, I think you could have put it on. You could have done the whole ending and not have a Star Killer, or not blow up the Star Killer. You could just go get Rey.
Yeah, or just disable it or something.
Yeah,
and I think there is a problem too about why there's not as many stakes, and that is we don't really have a very clear understanding of what the Resistance is, or even what the New Republic is. It's one thing, you're talking about having to go be like original trilogy to please the masses, and one thing they very clearly steered away from the prequel strategy was not talking about politics hardly at all.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my first viewing really trying to figure out, wait, what is going on? Why is there a resistance? The Republic the New Republic exists, but they're kind of secretly supporting the resistance. Why? Wouldn't that just be something they would naturally oppose?
It seems to me, and again, you have to read between the lines that there's been a truce, and the Republic is here, and the First Order is here. And it just kind of it's like Cold War. That's the sense they got, and the Resistance.
Don't you think they purposely stayed away from it? One, because the characters were the focus.
Yeah.
But two, because so many people complained about the prequels that government policies, how things became
Trade
the
Federation,
Empire, none of that. No one cared about that in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And so I think they were trying not to do that purposely. And I don't know if this was an added, if it was on purpose or if it's just a great byproduct. But I was looking afterwards because I'm interested in that stuff. I personally love the prequels.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff I like. And I was looking at all the comics that are coming out,
Yeah,
and all the books that are going to be coming out, and all that kind of stuff. They get to build this, they get to lay the groundworks for all that stuff too, and they give that opportunity to read that stuff, and figure out about that stuff to the people who want to, versus the people who don't
care.
And I also think the first episode of these new ones is got to be focused on the characters.
Yeah, and they do that.
I think they'll get more of that.
Yeah, and I totally get that, and I know that's why they focus on that, because people didn't like in their prequels. But it didn't bother me nearly as much the second time I watched it, honestly, because then I was like, okay, I get the general gist of what's going on. Just the problem is that once you're, because J.J. Abrams, from what I've heard in interviews, he compared it a lot to, for Star Wars, they talk about dissolving the Senate. They talk about a lot of stuff that you don't really have a whole lot of context for, and you don't care. Yeah. But the problem is, we've been in Star Wars for a lot longer now. There's a lot more history there. So I don't
preconceptions, because the expanded universe does matter, but it's seeped into a subsection of the audience.
Yeah. So I think I think he's pushing his mystery box a tad. Yes, people got the general basis of things, but when you're a little too distracted by trying to figure out why is this going on,
a line or two might have done it.
Yeah. No, I'm not asking for much, but it was just something concern of the first one.
The setup of the Star Killer base and especially the X-wing part of it. Yeah. Was the part that I felt was the weakest.
Another question I had about the Star Killer base, and I wanted to, Death Star, you don't think at all about how they power the thing. Yeah. In the Star Killer base, they actually show you that it's like sucking by the sun, which made us wonder, like, how are they going to power it a second time? Yeah. Well, does the planet actually have a propulsion system that can go destroy another sun?
And that's my problem that was my problem. I didn't have the problem Nick did with the recreating that whole thing, which I was fine with, whatever. I had the biggest problem of logic they used the Star Killer base twice. Yeah. But they only showed draining a sun once.
Does it only drain parts? Eventually it'll drain it all? I've only seen it once. Zach's seen it 3 times.
They said when the sky is dark, when the sun goes black, then you'll be able to fire it.
Maybe they got 2 off of the same star. Like the first time got half the star.
Maybe. It was just that part, I was like, what?
Yeah, and again, you wouldn't have thought about it except that they'd gone through the trouble of explaining how they powered it the first time.
And my only thought was why they did that was like...
Maybe they just liked the name Star Killer.
Well, and they wanted darkness? Because it did play into the scene at the end. The sun gets sucked away right as Kylo Ren and Han are talking. It goes black, and there's just a red light. It's perfect for that. Yeah. But, you wouldn't have needed to tell us anything about the
My last thing with the Star Killer thing, I'll be done with that, is there's not the tension. Because, look, go to Return of the Jedi. They have to sneak in and go to Endor and how do we get past the shields? Oh, we're going to jump in. How are we going to pull the shields down? We'll find this lady. And, there is no obstacles to stopping the Star Killer base because it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And that bothers me when they said it. I know it's not really up as a big thing, but it's echoing 2 other ones that were giant. I think that's my problem. I think second time I probably won't have as much of an issue, but it's echoing 2 other, basically high stakes things with an even bigger, badder one, and they can kind of just
walk in and take it.
Yeah, it doesn't even it doesn't take any effort.
Then if you're gonna go down that road, which you certainly can, I had the whole thing like, okay, the New Republic then they've built this thing bigger and larger than anything that they've done before. And you're going to let this ragtag group of people, like, take care. You know, there's obviously a Republic fleet.
Yeah.
And they've built this. You know, that's like, we let Russia just make this giant nuclear weapon. And we don't have anything to do with it. And we told, like, we told Spain, go take care of that for us. It just doesn't.
Yeah, unless they didn't know because it looked like a planet. And they're like.
It didn't look like a planet. There was a giant chunk out of it with a big hole. Like,
in a world where you've seen a Death Star, you would probably assume.
I think you'd make scanners that scan planets now just to see. Like,
I do have to say, shooting the thing looks awesome.
Oh no, it looks fantastic.
I love it when they shoot the thing.
Wow. Well, I mean, I will say.
I mean, when it splits into I don't know. That's just cool.
There was a little bit more of emotional connection there. I mean, we don't know anything about Alderaan aside from what Leia tells us. This time, you actually see people. You see the blast coming to destroy them.
Oh man!
And at first, apparently, from what I've read, it may not have actually been Coruscant.
It wasn't.
Destroyed. I thought it was first. I was like, oh
I know. Gosh. That's what I thought too.
There's like trillions of people in Coruscant.
Yeah.
It's the Hassanin system because they say it.
They do say it.
They say it. Okay. I heard it the second time through, and then I went and looked what that is, and I didn't find out lots of information. I hate to get into what people say on the internet because unless it's on StarWars.com or whatever, it's not official. Mm-hmm. But they talked about this being where they reformed the government and stuff. So
is that in some sort of source book or something?
That it might not be in. You know what? Hold on, I got StarWars.com pulled up because
keep moving. Wow.
Yeah, you guys can keep moving.
Anyways, that was my only rule, and I've spent too much time on it, but.
Yeah, and I was sort of relieved in a way that it wasn't Coruscant, in part because it seemed like it would be a big kind of.
That'd be evil.
Well not only that.
We love to see it when it was there, and like you can't just get rid of it like in the blink of an eye in the first.
And it seems like almost like it would have been like saying a ha-ha to the prequels because so much of the prequels is focused on Coruscant. Almost seemed like it would have been kind of a jab at that. And we've apparently Tatooine's not the only desert planet, so
it makes sense.
And we know there's more than one city planet.
It seems like they just dump all used ships there, basically. Yeah. They call it junkyard, and that would make sense when we have a Hollow Star.
While we're talking about locations, I do want to touch on that being one other thing I was a little disappointed in, and this is a minor thing, but I was a little disappointed there really wasn't any really cool new locations. Like we had more forests and desert and all very kind of down to earth, which is okay, but one thing I love about Star Wars is the cool new locations. Yeah. Now that said, I really did like Maz's trading post. Yeah. I thought it was very cool to see another
Cantina Point 2.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, but fun.
And yet it seemed to be like it was a little more orderly than most Cantina type places.
It wasn't as seedy as Jabba's palace or the Cantina.
You got the sense that Maz kept a pretty tight rein on what went on under her roof. So I thought that was a cool place.
No, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the outside of the planet where Luke is with all the little tiny islands.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that place is cool.
I mean, we didn't see much of it, but I like the idea of it.
Yeah. Did you catch that when he was doing his force interrogation thing with Rey? He said something about an island and oceans and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, she had seen it.
Because I didn't even think about it until the second time that she had not actually seen the map, but he thought she had. Because she never saw the map that BB-8 had showed at all.
Yeah, she saw it because BB-8 showed it on the Millennium Falcon to
that's right. No,
to Han.
Okay, you're right. Never mind. Strike that from the record.
Okay, so that's most of the plot. Should we start getting to the two big issues probably? Which would be Han and Luke?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it's interesting. One thing I complained about with Extended Universe stuff is I didn't like that they had made one of Han and Leia's kids go to the dark side.
Yeah.
The weird thing is I don't know that I mind it as much in this context. And I think part of that is one thing you
don't get to see you just see him evil.
Well, there's that, but also I don't know. One thing I always felt about the Extended Universe in general too is that I never really liked if their stories became bigger than the movies.
Oh yeah,
or more monumental, and that seemed like if that was something that would happen, I would want to actually see it in a film.
Well, there you go.
So now I got it, for better or for worse.
I like the fact that his name's Ben.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, it really explains well, why Luke would be, that he's had this.
Yeah,
thing go horrible along with his nephew.
It struck me as a very Yoda type thing to do, to go into exile after you've failed miserably.
Especially when, you're basically, if you don't bring it back right, everything goes wrong again.
Yeah.
And there's probably more to it that we'll find out later.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Speaking of, okay, so two things. I'm derailing your hijack, or I'm derailing your sidetrack. One, Hosnian system. I looked up and I couldn't find it on StarWars.com, but it's something, and I saw some things. Anyways, it's not Coruscant, which I know that for sure. Yeah. But two, in trying to find out if that's the base of the New Republic, I looked up the New Republic on StarWars.com, and it says the Rebel Alliance became the New Republic after its victory over the Empire at the Battle of Endor. Eager to win over the war-weary citizens of the galaxy, the New Republic revived the Senate, signed a peace treaty, the Galactic Concordance, with the Empire's remnants, and drastically reduced its military capacities. That policy aroused the ire of rebel hero Leia Organa, which I want to know why she goes by the last name Organa, who warned the elements of the Empire would still seek power. Sidelined from the political process, Organa founded the Resistance. So that gives you some insight as to where.
So there's still freedom fighters, and the Republic can't, because the treaty can't really
they
back
signed the thing. Yeah.
You know what? I think there's that Aftermath book, and I think there's some more coming. They'll probably go into all that.
Yeah, there's like 3 Aftermath books that are going to be.
So Coruscant could still be under Imperial control. Then.
It's highly possible that. Oh no! And here we go. The New Republic's home location is Hassanan Prime.
Okay.
So they did blow up.
So that's why the New Order was so ticked off that they were secretly funding the Resistance, or at least they believed that.
Yeah, they were lying.
But then the New Order was lying too. But they blew up.
Yeah, they were obviously
So that's one. Two, like Leia Organa. Why go? That
was always her name.
Only before she knew she was a Skywalker.
Yeah, but that's her royalty name, and that's
no, it's not her royalty name. She's not royal from.
She's royal from Alderaan.
Yeah, from Alderaan.
That's
from Bail Organa, her dad, who adopted her.
He was a king there? I thought he was just a senator.
Well, I don't know how they work but she was.
I thought she was a princess from. Oh no, she was Princess Leia.
Yeah,
that was before she knew she was a princess. Yeah. So she's twice a princess then.
I guess, but Padme hadn't been a queen for a long time by the time she gave birth.
Yeah, she had retired.
That doesn't change royal bloodlines.
Well, Naboo is like you're elected or something, aren't you?
Yeah, it's like an elected position.
An elected position?
Yeah, and
I didn't. Okay. Anyways,
come on, prequel lover.
So, this is my other thing. So, watching it the third time, I was very interested in the old guy at the beginning.
Yeah, he must have been a general from one of the.
Because I was.
He knew Leia somehow.
Because one, the actor is a very formal. I mean, he seemed like an impressive person. Like I should know who this guy is. So I paid I paid more attention to his lines, and he knew who Kylo Ren was in how he talked. He knew Kylo Ren beforehand, and
I wouldn't know how he knew where Luke.
The Knights of Ren and these guys. Well. That led me to look up some stuff on. I just looked up some stuff because I'm interested in theories.
Yeah.
But I know when I read stuff on the internet, it's just theories.
Yeah.
Except StarWars.com has their actual things. So the legendary traveler and explorer Lor Santaka is a longtime ally of the New Republic and the Resistance. After the Battle of Endor, Santaka helped Luke Skywalker recover secret Jedi lore that the Empire had tried to erase. And Leia Organa hopes the old scout can now help find her brother. Obviously, this was available before the movie came out. Following decades of adventure, Santaka retired to live simply on Jakku, where he follows the dictates of the once forbidden Church of the Force. But his retirement is fated to be anything but peaceful.
I wonder if he's also kind of a Ben Kenobi to watch over Rey.
That was my theory then. Is that there is no way this guy who knew these two, Luke and Leia, super well, ended up on Jakku just by accident. That doesn't.
You know
work.
what I do love about Star Wars? Even like prequels came out, and then like they're doing pottery. So that one lady standing up there, and then they have a whole story about. I love the fact that
They've thought enough ahead.
And George Lucas had little stories for them, but you can't put it in the movie because the movie's about these main characters, and I like that for the people who want to learn, and you don't have to.
So that was my thing when I saw him. Learned that even before I read this. By listening to if you listen to his talk at the beginning to Kylo Ren, you get, like, this guy knows stuff. Yeah. And so immediately watching it, I knew, like, there's more to this guy's story. Like, we're going to learn more about this guy in the future or something. And that made me go, he's on Jakku purposely. There's no way Poe came here to this thing and, Luke's daughter is just... I mean, who knows if she is? I've gone from 70% sure she was to I'm at about 90s now.
That was one thing I was partly like. It was interesting after the first viewing. Like I enjoyed it, but like the next day I was filled with I was mourning Han Solo, and I had all these questions like why didn't they just say if she's Luke's daughter or not? And I still kind of wish that they would have.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, you don't have to go into it. You can just say. Luke could even say something. I mean, granted, I love that final scene.
That final scene's really good.
It is really, really cool, but it's still...
It's a J.J. Abrams ending.
It is. Yeah.
No, but, it works for, Well, then Zach brought up that old...
The trailer.
I watched it again. Did you watch it again after I tweeted it? No. Okay, that trailer pretty much proves that she is.
Yeah, because he's talking about the Skywalker family again, and I
wonder if that wasn't cut from. I wonder if it wasn't near the end of the movie
and was cut.
And they cut, it was like right near the end, and they thought, no, it'll work better. Just
there's a shot in that trailer that they didn't wind up using. At some point, someone gives Luke's Skywalker to Leia. But that's not in the movie at all.
No, you mean the lightsaber?
Yeah, the lightsaber.
Yeah, there is a someone handing someone the lightsaber. I don't think you get to see who it is in the trailer.
I'm pretty sure though it looks like Leia's outfit because
no, you're right. It is because it's Leia's ring. I watched it a couple of times the other day.
Well, and their clothing like Rey wears like the same outfit the whole time.
Yeah,
and she doesn't wear anything like what Leia's wearing.
It is. There is that scene.
Okay, we're highly derailed.
Sorry.
No, I love this, but I think we should probably
focus on the movie.
We'll touch it and go on. Let's finish up with the Kylo Han stuff.
Oh, I forgot we were talking about that.
Well, first off, at first I'm like, why is Han doing smuggler stuff? Where's Leia? And it explains pretty well. Yeah. And I mean, it's sad, but it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then it's very interesting, of the different allusions from different movies. One of the clever ones, I think, is that when Kylo Ren's there with Han because the Empire only builds giant railings over pits.
No, they don't build any railings. They build giant bridges with no railings.
Well, I remember back when it was all Phantom Menace, they have those things and the railings. Like, what is this? This is Star Wars architecture, which I love. I don't mind that at all.
There's no like. What's OSHA?
Yeah.
There's nobody making sure there's safety involved.
But, and then they're staying there, and I'm like, this is bad. Don't.
Yeah, as soon as that scene started
but
up,
it's very much. Han Solo is basically Obi-Wan in this movie. Because he gets the people from the desert planet, he teaches himself, he's kind of a father figure for them, and then he basically willingly gives up his life to Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Just like Obi-Wan does in the Death Star in New Hope.
That's true.
And it's more affecting than killing Ben.
I don't think he knows in this case that he's...
I couldn't tell.
I don't think he... I think he knows that this is a very risky thing to do, but I think he has hope that it won't...
Yeah, I think he's willing to try.
And was it all... I was trying to figure out, was it all a ruse? What Kylo Ren was doing? Or was he really, I'm torn inside?
I'm not sure he knew he was going to do that. And I think Han knew he didn't know.
Yeah.
I think the scene's very ambiguous, and I think it's because no one there, my interpretation of it, seeing it once, was that both sides basically didn't quite know what would happen.
Yeah. I don't think Kylo Ren is that manipulative.
No, I don't think. Watching it again, I thought I thought it was... He was really torn.
He either wants to give up the darkness or he wants to kill Han Solo.
No, but this was my other thought though. he says, I'm torn inside. It's tearing me up inside, or something like that. And then he says something about, will you help me? And he says yes. And he starts to hand him the lightsaber. And my other thought was, does he want Han to like
kill him?
I
thought that
to
too.
End it for him, because he's in such torment because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I leaned actually more.
Yeah.
And then he was like, he can't actually give up.
And it's very interesting to have a bad guy who basically, instead of having good guys who constantly tempted to the dark side, is a dark guy who's like, I keep thinking that maybe I shouldn't be doing this. I mean, that's an interesting.
That was a cool twist. I thought, like him feeling tempted to be good.
Like he I think he really thinks I can't constantly cut all these parts off from me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Anakin basically said, I'm just gonna. I'm selling myself.
It's interesting to think then too, where Anakin was always this guy who was tempted by the dark side. To see this balance in the Force of Kylo Ren, always like this tempting of the light.
And you feel like he just can't live up to the evilness of Darth Vader.
Well, that's what he wants, and that's what he wants.
It's just so weird.
I kind of joked afterwards, like I think Han said something about him having too much Vader in him. And it's like, well, he did seem to be about as whiny as Anakin in some ways.
I just read an article about how it was this whole rethinking of how the trilogy, how they should have, like all the points were there, but how Lucas could have changed it just a little bit to make it work a little better. Anyways, and he talked about how the prequels made, one of movies' greatest bad guys into this like whiny teenager. Like if you watch them straight through, you're like, Darth Vader is not that intimidating. He's not that scary a dude. But
now the Emperor, on the other hand,
but which is different than too. If you start to like, I am trying to stay up with the canon, at least the books that have to deal with the main things, like some of the Rebel stuff and whatever. I'm not going to say all in. Mm-hmm. From episode 3 to 4, there was a long space of time where Anakin really became Darth Vader. You didn't really see him.
Yeah.
He just made the switch. Yeah. He turned into a really bad dude.
And he completely sold out then. I mean, he's not turning back. And Kylo Ren can't seem to sell himself out.
Yeah, Vader had like 20 years to develop that cold persona that we talked about, as opposed to being And
it's sad that Han Solo died, but I think it really is from a strictly movie point of view, probably necessary.
Well, it's... And from a franchise point of view, it certainly was.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Because I realized, you're not going to redeem your main villain in the first episode of a new trilogy.
And you can't...
You need to move the old people out.
No, all three of these old people need to... Luckily, they can use Luke in this whole next one, because they didn't use him in this one at all.
And he's basically going to be Yoda. I mean, you got... abandoned planet, person come to learn the Force.
They're going to have to move Leia out too, or kill her off or something.
Well, you can just have her, occasionally.
She's the one I think people probably worry most about her acting skills. I mean, she's the one who has not been in the business
pretty much at all.
Exactly, and she's a loose cannon. Anyways, where Mark Hamill has.
But they established such great characters. I don't think it's going to be a big deal.
No, but I do think I think, like this one, I was very pleased with their use of her, because she was not a big character. Essential, but didn't go overboard with it.
I'm going to have this may be a transition. Okay, so most of the, there's a lot of pretty convenient, they wanted to keep it nonstop, and it works nonstop, this movie.
Yes.
And most of the time they explain it really well, like, we were looking, if Falcon showed up on our thing, or this, and it works pretty good. The only question I have is, why did R2 start up right then?
Yeah, that is a big question.
And my only thought, again, is that between Kylo Ren killing Han Solo and Rey finding the Force and all these planets dying, that Luke sensed something and remote started R2.
And that's an interesting theory. But I think there's something there, because you see that scene, they've played it in the previews and it was in the movie, of where Luke uses his hand on R2 and kind of does, he puts it on R2. There's that link between R2 and Luke that I think you could explain that.
Do you think Luke was purposely trying to put R2 to sleep, like a force sleep sort of thing? I don't know how you do that to a droid, but you think?
I don't know.
I think R2 is there on purpose. I think he was waiting for the right time.
I think that's there.
There's
Luke
enough
is
clues
waiting.
that I don't think that's. untenable.
What I will be disappointed with is if Luke, and I don't think this will happen at all. I mean, if the Once Upon a Time people were writing it, this would happen. But if R2 woke up and they went and found Luke, and Luke's like, "What are you guys doing here? I haven't expected." Luke should be there like, "I'm expecting this.
Something, yeah.
He helped orchestrate it, something like
that. He had this very haunted expression, though. It's like, "Oh my gosh, you've actually found me," sort of.
Yeah, his expression was not like, it didn't look like "I've been waiting for you."
No, it looked like.
But I think R2 must have had some timer.
Oh no, I agree.
Otherwise it's way too convenient.
I heard someone theorize that maybe he was. They didn't say this at all in the movie, but there was that he was possibly trying to like decode like the Doctor Who idea of like spending a long time of like decoding the map, basically.
No.
Which is maybe, but there's.
I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be something between him and Luke, or Ray showing up.
Well, and there's
definitely Ray showing up,
or Kylo. Ray's showing
there's
up.
Definitely
if Ray's his daughter,
I think that's
and she finds the Force suddenly.
There's definitely something to that feeling of like there's a lot of things going on. The Force awakening.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's rebooting.
Yeah, it's like things are happening. The Force is stirring. There's all that stuff. Aslan is coming.
There was something else I was going to say about Ray's thing. Oh, so here's my. Oh no, I already did that about why I'm sure Ray's the. And I wasn't sure originally. I thought she might be just like a very special Padawan that was at that.
Yeah.
At the rebuilding of it originally.
She had to be.
Yeah,
because Kylo Ren seemed to have some sense of her too.
And her mechanicalness, I don't think is what you were talking about with the expanded universe is a Force thing. I think it's a Skywalker thing. Yeah. And then the preview. The preview sealed the deal for me.
It almost has to be.
It's just. It'd be too much unlike Star Wars just to have another random Force person.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
then you have siblings on the other end of things as opposed to father-son.
People were saying she looks like Padme. Mm-hmm. I think she looks more like the little boy who played Hayden Christensen in the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
Lloyd?
Yeah, I think if you look at her in the eyes and stuff, I think she looks a lot like...
That's interesting theory.
No, it was interesting.
Well, another theory I heard, that, again, there's no... If she's not Luke's daughter, some people thought, well, what if... Because Han and Leia didn't seem to have any kind of recognition of her. But there was sort of this... What if like they had a mind wipe sort of thing, like, and Force amnesia? That's never been in Star Wars before, but...
I think it's...
it seems more likely to be Luke's, I think.
Yeah. And I was really... It gets too complicated to explain movies.
I was surprised by that, actually. I did not think that it would be Luke's at all. I thought... My first theory was that the girl was Han and Leia's, and that was going to be the thing, and Kylo Ren was just this other dude. I was in the camp of Luke being Kylo Ren for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. I thought that was an intriguing idea.
I sometimes wonder if JJ didn't start that rumor.
Yeah, it's a great rumor.
To throw people off the track.
No, seriously.
It's a good rumor. And then I was in the camp of doing the twins thing. I thought they were going to do the twins thing, but when
of that poster, they were
cousins. Like they'd be cousins. They wouldn't be.
Well,
they'd be twins. Yeah. What I'm saying.
No, I mean in actuality.
Oh no, now they are. Yeah.
I said siblings earlier, and I was.
But wrong. But the way Han and Leia, they had no clue. I mean, Han could have no clue. You could make it that way. Leia's gonna know. You know what I mean? There's
yeah.
Okay, here's the other thing that I'll be very interested in seeing how they continue doing. So this Snoke character is also out of nowhere.
Yeah, which is
weird in that there's always been this relationship of not always. I've read in some things that, and I think this was official. I think it was canon that there were lots of Sith.
Yeah,
before.
I mean back when they first started,
they'd fight against each other, and then Darth Plagueis was the one who decided, no, it's going to be a master and apprentice, and that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm very interested in seeing how they manage this new guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's obviously well trained. He's not he's not a
upstart.
Yeah, he figured the Force out a little on his own, and he just did this thing. I mean, he obviously has been around for a long time, so it's an interesting.
Where was he during the whole Empire?
Yeah, that's what'll
Which
be
is
very
30
interesting.
years?
It's been 30 years since
Okay.
Return of the
So he could
Jedi,
have been-
if I remember right.
Okay, so yeah.
There's, I mean,
We really have no way of telling how old he is, but I would guess at least 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
and in I mean, it's not unheard of that the Emperor had, he had this Darth Maul guy off to the side, while he also had this Count Dooku kind of apprentice thing, and so there's some precedence for some other thing. What I'm looking at now is I'm trying to look at Rebels and some of the other canon stuff now to see how they've treated some of these, because there's these Inquisitors in the Rebels TV show, which are this group of Force sensitive people that Darth Vader has trained in lightsabers and things, and they go out to hunt down the Jedis that are left.
Okay.
Which then is canon. So to me, I'm just very interested in seeing how they do that, because if they pull this guy from nowhere, just like boom, there's this other.
There's obviously a story there.
Yeah, they do so well.
Have you followed Clone Wars? Did you watch that show?
I didn't watch all of them. I didn't get to see the end, the last couple of seasons.
I don't know that there's an answer, but I mean, that might be an interesting place to explore.
I want to look.
I know one place they probably are not from is Dathomir, the planet of the Night Witches.
Yeah.
I think it's also apparently where Darth Maul
came from. Yeah,
I think that planet has been pretty much wiped out. So
I have heard some things that have said that Darth Plagueis might not be dead, or there might be this
body jumping thing.
Sith guy who keeps.
There's a very creepy thing with the very
It's Jar Jar
last.
Binks, right?
No,
I said Snoke could be Jar Jar Binks. See, if he cut his did some surgery on him or whatnot. Anyways,
no. Now that I think about it, the last episode I believe is basically Yoda having this long vision about the future of. Well, the future. And there is a point where he goes to this planet that's filled with the dark side. It'd be really interesting to rewatch that and see if there's any clues. Because I think he encountered the spirit of one of the past Sith Lords.
There was one of the canon books that I've read recently. Also, I think it was the Darth Vader one.
The Lords of the Sith.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but it was Lords of the Sith, where they the Emperor would go down, and there was this original Sith
temple, apparently the Jedi temple.
Yeah, that was actually underneath the Jedi temple on Coruscant. It was deep inside there. So maybe that's another reason they held on to Coruscant, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to go now. Looking at this,
what is the Dark Empire from the Dark Horse? The one where the Emperor has all kinds of clones of himself.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me about that.
I hated Dark Empire. That was such a dumb comment.
Wasn't there the hand of?
Yeah, I think they cloned Luke. I guess that was
hand, right?
Yeah.
Was that Thrawn trilogy?
That was in Thrawn trilogy.
That gets a little.
Which that was on the border there.
Yeah.
But
See,
Dark Empire was another one of these stories.
Anyone who wants to complain repeating stuff. Some of the early expanded universe stuff already did all that worse.
Yeah, it's true. One other thing, and I guess you've listened to the soundtrack some on
Spotify, which is nice. Yeah, that is there.
I was a little I might have to go listen to it, because watching it, even the two times I saw it, I was a little disappointed. I couldn't pick up on any interesting John Williams themes.
Oh no, you've got to go back and listen to Ray's theme. Is fantastic.
Really,
it's fantastic.
I like
really
the Resistance theme too.
I haven't listened enough, but the third time I went, it was early in the morning. I was tired and I had seen it 2 times already. So I spent part of it with my eyes closed. Parts where I knew stuff was going on. And I actually was specifically listening to the music. I was very interested in seeing if I could hear Luke's theme in certain spots.
Well, Luke's theme is kind of the Force theme, though.
I know.
Basically.
Yeah, so...
Which they did that a lot, I've noticed. So made the Force be.
But no, Ray's theme I love. I think it's fantastic. It happens when she does the slide down the...
Yeah, this is where it starts, really, isn't
there.
it?
And then at the end, all of her climbing up the things to see Luke at the end until his theme comes on there.
That's probably the new central theme. You know,
Yeah, it was the
one
main thing you could pick up.
Okay, I'll have to
When
go
you-
listen to that because
When you listen to it, you'll recognize
it was just surprising to me because like the prequels, there was a very strong theme in
Duel of
each
the
one.
Fates
Duel of the
and-
Fates and Anakin and Padme's theme, and then
Yeah.
I mean, Ray's theme is a little more.
Obi-Wan
It's a little more subtle, a little more complex than those.
But I really
the
enjoy
March of
it.
I think it's called March of the Resistance. Is one of those big trumpety sort of. It reminds me a little bit between. I think it reminds me. I have to go back a little bit like a messed up version of the Droid Invasion theme. Actually, I don't think it is. I think it probably just has some of the same flavor.
Okay. I don't know that I'd be able to pinpoint the Droid Invasion.
I like that theme. The Droid theme is nice.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground. Some not even related to the movie.
So generally, I mean, if you're going to restart Star Wars again, I think this is very strong.
Yeah, this is a very strong beginning.
The main thing I hope for the next one, work with your new characters because they're awesome.
Yeah.
And start taking new ground.
Yeah, go new ground, go to new places. We need to see some locations unlike anything we've seen before. Now, I know they very purposely tried to avoid like overdoing CG, not doing much blue screen.
But you need to go to some cities, guys.
Yeah, you need to go to some cities. You even see some I want to see some cool alien planets.
Yeah.
I mean, for goodness sakes, outdo Avatar in terms of planet creation. I think that would be fantastic. I mean, don't give up on. I'm not saying give up on practicals. I love all the practical effects. Yeah, but mix them up. Like Star Wars should be fresh,
cutting edge.
Yeah. So.
And I really do enjoy. Even on the prequels, I know some people are like, "Oh, this theme variation thing." I like theme variation. That's what Lost basically is. Of taking the themes of different of the original Star Wars and moving in a different context. And,
okay. Mm-hmm.
Keep doing that, but it doesn't have to be so. Do it with the big ideas, with the light and dark and the Force, and don't be clever with it in the future. That'll be the temptation, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, JJ managed to avoid trying to be clever. I think he just
clever and
just made it fun.
Yeah,
and like little things like Ray wanted to go back home. Yeah. All the time, which is
instead of Luke also.
Doing those variations really helped me not feel like it was a repeat of.
Yeah, well, and her reason for going back home though was the fact because thought her family was coming back for her, so she had a very different motivation than Luke did.
But if they hadn't changed things up as much as that, it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been a little too
much. But you can do even. Because now we're sold on these new characters. I mean, I am. I'm ready.
And the interesting thing too, but now that we're starting into a new trilogy and people are assured like, okay, this is going to be more like the Star Wars I want. I wonder if over time people will come to see the prequels more for what I think they really are. I think they're trying to be
a different movie,
a very different type of thing. They're, like the prequel trilogy is a whole different beast than the original trilogy, and I think that is intentional.
Well, not only intentional, I think it's something pretty impressive for Lucas to actually do. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. Lucas basically made 2 complete universes. I mean, because the prequel trilogies spawned a whole universe. I mean, there's a lot of young people who didn't grow up with the old ones.
Uh-huh.
That the Clone Wars and the Stormtroopers and the Sith. I mean, and the Jedi. And this is an entire world that's in books and movies and cartoons just as much as the original one was for us older people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very different world. Very different. And right now, Episode 7 is very much it's basically a continuation of Episode 6.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing by any means.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see if we get more new ships, more new, start moving things forward.
Because in prequel, that's the other thing you saw a lot of different variations in spaceships.
And they did some of that. I mean,
they did some, but you saw a lot of X-wings and TIE fighters again.
Yeah, I mean they were all updated a little bit, and the Star Destroyers are compacted. And yeah.
I will say one thing we haven't touched on, and I know we need to wrap this up. Yeah. This is getting really long. Probably our longest sidetrack to date. But cinematography in this movie was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a beautiful movie. I needed to go see it again.
Yes, it's definitely. Like I said, I enjoyed it the first time, but I enjoyed it way more the second time, just because. It's funny because usually on second viewings you start seeing more of the flaws. This time I was able to relax a whole lot more in the second viewing.
Well, and it moves. I mean, it's a very, very well greased movie. I mean, it moves almost effortlessly from thing to thing.
Yeah, you could even some people. I had to watch it again to see what I felt like. The first half is paced almost perfectly.
Yeah,
you could almost have a little bit more, maybe some more moments, like maybe a little bit more time to grieve with Han afterwards, because there wasn't
a lot.
There really wasn't much. I mean, there were some, but
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I mean the first half is put together. I mean, it's all really good, but you're right. It's paced. The first half is paced very well.
Yep.
All
right, we'll go check it out.
If you haven't, well, they have it. Hopefully
that's
they have
right.
it.
Hopefully they have that now. Go watch it again.
So hopefully we helped you enjoy it again.
Hopefully we've helped you process some of the same things that we've been processing. I'm glad we didn't, because you and I didn't talk about this at all before we started recording, and I think that was good.
And I didn't even talk too much about it right after, because I liked most of it, and I had that one thing, and I didn't really want to say it out loud because just I didn't want to spoil. I don't know. I want everyone to enjoy and process it themselves before you start saying what you want.
Yeah, and it took some processing, because it wasn't like as much as the internet likes to put things in binary, it was awesome or it was horrible. This one was great, but it had some imperfection, just little things. I was like,
but I mean, you probably can't get a better.
Yeah, no.
Start of or what it was trying to do.
J.J. Abrams had an almost impossible task, and he pulled it off really, really well. Yeah. So all props to him. To that.
So yeah, if you want to, I don't know comments. If you add, I'm sure it'll be long and voluminous, but you feel free to leave comments on this one.
Yeah, if you disagreed with something, or if you felt that there's something else that we missed that we didn't talk about.
You hate the original trilogy and long live the prequels,
I think there's room for both.
Yeah, no, I do too. They're very different beasts.
They really are. Well, thanks for listening.
Yeah, all right. This has been Nick,
and this is Tim.
May the force be with you.
Bye-bye.